My boyfriend suggested losing my teeth is a good thing because I'll give better blowjobs. Yeah, this is as crazy as the title makes it sound. I'm gonna run through the background and state of our relationship really quick, just to answer the obvious questions. We've been together for 2 years, I know there's an age gap, it's never been a problem. We have plenty in common, and our relationship has been strong up until now. We live together, but have separate finances, no kids or anything else that ties us together long term. We both work full-time, and I'm in college. Our pay is roughly equal. We split chores pretty fairly, neither of us complains. Basically, up until now, we've had a very strong relationship that I'd have called perfect, or close to it. The last few months, I've been dealing with some pretty scary health issues in and around my mouth. Basically, my teeth and jaw are fucked. It's a combination of a few different things, most of which would be manageable on their own, but I won the bad teeth lottery and got them all. The short version is that I will need to have most of my teeth removed eventually, unless I want to deal with problems way worse than what I already have. Now, obviously I don't want to lose my teeth, but I don't want to deal with the alternative either, so last week I made the difficult decision to have all but 3 of my teeth removed. I'll be able to get some fancy custom-fit dentures once they're all removed, but that will take time. There will be an awkward stage of at least a few months where I have almost no teeth at all. Obviously, I'm dreading it. Last night, I was talking to my boyfriend about it. I'm really stressed and anxious about all of this, but the thing that I'm dreading the most is being unable to eat or talk properly for months. At first, he was very supportive and assured me that he'd make sure that we had food I could eat, and he'd make phone calls on my behalf so that I didn't have to. Stuff like that. But then, he got this awful, shit-eating grin on his face and made what I think was meant to be a joke. I bet the blowjobs will be awesome. I might have you take the dentures out now and then. I had no idea what to say at first. I just stared at him. I was hoping that he'd apologize and explain that it was just a joke to lighten the mood, and he didn't realize how terrible it would sound out loud. Everyone makes mistakes now and then. If he'd apologized, I'd have forgiven him. But instead, he doubled down by explaining that it gives him options. And it's not like taking the dentures out will be a problem for you. I was shocked. Finally, I managed to find my voice and tell him to leave me the hell alone. He tried to argue and further explain himself, but I wasn't having it. I ended up sleeping on the couch in his home office. Thankfully, he worked today and I didn't, so I've had time to think about what the hell I want to do. I haven't seen him or spoken to him since last night, although he's been texting me a lot. He did sort of apologize. He said he was sorry if it was insensitive, but he didn't take it back. He tried again to defend himself. He says that every guy wonders what it would be like, and he was just excited that he'd get to find out, and his hype got away from him. Anyway, I'm not sure exactly why I'm posting this. I don't really have anyone I can talk to about this, so I guess I just needed to vent. Thanks for reading. Advice is welcome, but I really just want to scream into the digital void. In the comments, DutchPerson5 says, "You are grieving losing a part of your body, and he's having sexual fantasies about it. That is devastating. OP, I'm so sorry. I can't imagine staying with someone with so little care or empathy. I remember my grandmother. She must have been in her 40s, coming from the dentist and crying. She'd just been told that she'd have to have her teeth pulled due to gum disease. My grandfather sat there holding her and telling her how much he loved her. You deserve that kind of love." Jumping on this comment to say that I had all of my top teeth out and a temporary denture this week. The first day when I was swollen and could barely talk, my boyfriend said I was beautiful. He's asked if I need anything, can he make me anything, and has been concerned about me being in pain. You know what he hasn't said once? He hasn't made any comments about how this is somehow better for his sexual pleasure. Get rid of your loser boyfriend. And now, on to the update. We had an argument. I'm sleeping in his office again. He says I'm making this a way bigger problem than it needs to be. I told him he's being disgusting and hurtful when I need his love and support. He says he's being loving and supporting, and a strong sex life is a part of that. I said some stuff I regret. He threatened to kick me out. We live in his house. My name isn't on it because it was inherited from his parents. I managed to convince him not to, but I'll be sleeping on his tiny couch in his office again. Fuck my life. Update? I don't know if anyone is still reading this, but we fought again. Big time. He kicked me out. I barely had time to grab my phone. I'm staying at a woman's shelter across town for now. My parents will be here to help me get my stuff from his house tomorrow. Jesus. So you're dealing with this insane medical situation and you need reassurance as a human being, but instead he immediately sexualizes this? And I'm on your side. As you said, one bad joke would have been forgivable if he apologized. Intrusive thoughts, final boss, and all of that. But instead he doubles down and kept defending it and refuses to see how what he's saying is incredibly fucked up. Yeah, now let's not focus on your anxiety for the future and your fear from losing all but 3 of your teeth. No. Instead, we should focus the conversation on his sexual curiosity and the fact that you're overreacting. Yeah, that's the problem, of course, OP. At this point, I just have to think that he was looking for an excuse to break up with you because he didn't want to be with you anymore because of this. That has to be the justification here. Like, he felt disgusted by you, so in order to get rid of you, he had to put you down, not apologize for it, and get rid of you from his life. It sucks that he couldn't have handled this breakup in a normal way, but instead, he decided to continue to fight with you and then kick you out of his house. That is not a safe relationship to be in. It is good that you were out of there. Please stay away from that man. Our next post is by user Apprehensive Yak, and it's titled, I genuinely think my 35 female, husband 36 male, is a psychopath. Hi everyone. Please, I need help. So I'm 35 and my husband is 36. We've been married for 10 years and have 2 boys, 7 and 5. I honestly don't know what to think anymore. About 3 months ago, my husband started sending me really nasty messages while he was at work. At first, it was just mean comments. Stuff like, I'm lazy, that I'm a terrible mother, and that he regrets marrying me. It was completely out of nowhere. The weird part is that when he would come home from work, he'd act completely normal, like nothing happened. He'd kiss me, ask me what's for dinner, play with the kids. The first time it happened, I thought maybe he was having a bad day at work, but the messages kept coming. Sometimes he'd send them during the day, sometimes late at night if he was working overtime. They got worse, too, saying things like I'm useless, that I'm lucky he hasn't left me yet, that no one else would want me. The first few times I confronted him, he acted confused. Like, genuinely confused. He would say things like, what messages? Or, you must be misunderstanding something. I literally showed him the texts on my phone and he just stared at them and said he didn't send them, claiming he lost his phone. Which he did, but he had a new one and was still texting and calling from that number. I know it sounds ridiculous, but he didn't look guilty. He looked confused and almost scared. I thought maybe he was gaslighting me, but it was such a weird way to do it because he never got angry in person. Finally, about a month ago, I snapped, and I showed him a bunch of the messages at once and told him that I couldn't keep living like this. I told him if he hated me so much, then he should just say it to my face. He kept insisting that he didn't send them and said maybe someone was messing with us. At that point, I was done. I packed my clothes, grabbed the kids, and went to stay with my parents who live in the same state. They were amazing and helped so much, and I never felt luckier to have a close family. Since then, the messages have continued. Same number, same horrible tone. Things like, running to mummy's house just proves my point. You're pathetic. You'll come crawling back eventually. I sent him screenshots back to the same number, and he still swore again that he wasn't sending them. He was just saying that he said that he lost his phone at work and had to get a replacement, but he still had the same number, and when he would show me his phone, I couldn't see the messages. I just thought he was deleting them, though. He said someone must have found the phone and was messing with me. Last week, though, I let the kids stay with him for a couple of weeks since he was still their dad and they miss him. He's still denying everything. says he never sent those messages and that he thinks that someone is using his old phone. Meanwhile, the texts haven't stopped. At this point, I don't even know what to believe anymore. Either he's lying to my face or something really weird is going on. Has anyone ever dealt with something similar? I feel like I'm going insane and I don't know what to believe. We genuinely had the most perfect relationship before all of this, and I don't know what to do. I'm scared that I'm breaking my family apart for no good reason, but some of the texts have been so horrible. I can't even include them on here. In the comments, a tadpole says, "This reminds me of that Netflix documentary where the mum was sending texts to bully the daughter, but they didn't know that it was her." Oh my god, exactly this. She was bullying the daughter and then comforting her and pretending to care. Wasn't there another similar story about a girl's boyfriend secretly stalking her and then coming in to offer comfort recently too? OP, have you searched his trash folder for deleted texts? Has he given you permission to search his phone? Here's an idea. Ask him to let you take his phone for a day while he's at work. If the texts keep coming, you can rule it out that way. If he really didn't do it, letting you borrow his phone for a day wouldn't be an issue, right? I would trade phones for the day. If he gets the texts, he may have some context for who's sending them. If it's really not him, especially if he's just told someone some information that couldn't come from anyone else. The running away to mummy's house implies to me that it's either him or someone who knows him and knows you've left. Does he have a work wife or anyone who would benefit from your marriage breaking? You should get a new number on a burner phone. Tell him you've given it to everyone, but only give it to him. See what happens. OP, this is a smart and a good way to figure this out. Say you didn't feel safe anymore and wanted to get a new number. Log out of everything connected to your old phone too, and turn off your location so he can't track it and tell that you still have it. I'd also tell him to save your new number under a different name that only he knows in addition to this. This should help you figure it out ASAP. And now, onto the update. So I did a lot more research, and some comments helped me investigate. I think I know how the messages are happening from multiple devices, because we message using WhatsApp. After doing some research, it does allow for multiple devices to be connected to the same account, so it's possible someone else could be doing it from his lost phone. But overnight, the messages didn't slow down. They actually got worse. They weren't just insults anymore. Some of them started to feel like threats. I was terrified. Things about how I would regret leaving, and some a lot worse. I barely slept last night because of it. At one point late last night, I finally texted back and said that if the messages didn't stop, I was going to the police. I know a lot of people said not to do this, but I couldn't take it anymore, and I knew that whether it was my husband or not, the person doing this would at least see it. I know I made a lot of people angry that I couldn't just make up my mind on what to do, but here's your reminder, this is my husband, the man I loved unconditionally for over 10 years. Dumping him and blocking him out of nowhere isn't an option. We built a family and a life together. My life isn't a movie that I can just cut the last 10 years out, just like many of you insinuated, as well as calling me a liar, attention seeker, and pointing out every mistake that I made. I know I posted online for help, and I need to accept some hate, but I fear sometimes people on Reddit can just go too far, and I really saw it over the last day. Please think of the harm that you cause when you leave a comment. This isn't just social media. It's my current real life, and I know many of you that wrote these probably wouldn't say it to my face. Now, the messages didn't stop. If anything, they got more aggressive. At that point, I was convinced it had to be him, and decided to be true to my word and actually went into the police station. I saw some comments about being able to track a device to a small location, and you can ask for that. If you have the information about the phone, which I got from my husband, and are on the phone plan, which I am. The worst thing about this is me contacting him about the kids and information also went to whoever was sending the horrible messages. I was terrified about putting them in danger and maybe making whoever was doing this more angry. So I knew that it was urgent to get help. At the station, they were able to track down the missing phone. I claimed it was just lost because at the time I didn't know if I was going to file charges. Because it was my husband's phone, they actually gave me the location, and the officer who helped was very nice. The address was very familiar and quite close to our house, so I decided to drive past to see where I knew it from. Turns out, I had been to one of my husband's workplace parties there, and the coworker that lives there, I'm actually quite close to. I was angry and honestly just exhausted from it all. The kids were with him, so I went over early to pick them up before he expected me. My mum came with me because I didn't want to go alone. She took the boys so that I could talk to him privately. I told him that I knew one of his co-workers had his old phone, and how I was disgusted that she was ever someone I considered a friend. By this point, I was absolutely breaking down. When I told him this, he looked shocked. So I asked, why was his phone at her house, and how did she know your password? He just said maybe she took it from work, and I don't know how she knew, but after reading some comments, I was done with these playing it down excuses. That answer didn't sit right with me at all. Something about the whole situation felt off. The messages had been too personal. Whoever was sending them knew things that only someone very close to us would have known. So I pushed harder, and it turns out the co-worker, 30 female, wasn't just a co-worker. She had been having an affair with my husband for over a year. He tried to claim that it wasn't serious, but I was sick of him making me feel like I'm overreacting. I know people said that this was a possibility, but I just could never bring myself to believe it. I've never felt so betrayed. Everything made sense. She knew details about our relationship, our house, our routines, the kids. Things that would be impossible for a stranger to know, all because my husband was telling her everything. I don't know exactly how she ended up with his old phone, because he claims that he lost it at work and thinks she took it. I honestly don't know what to believe anymore. All I know is that the messages kept coming from that device, and they just kept getting worse. Who knows how far she would have gone? Apparently, when my husband lost his phone, whoever had it kept using it. Meanwhile, he had gotten a replacement phone, but the old phone was still logged into WhatsApp, so technically both phones were tied to the same account, and I didn't even realize WhatsApp wasn't the same as messages and that things like this can happen, which meant the messages could be sent from the old device and still appear as if they were coming from him, while they wouldn't appear on his phone. Part of me thinks there's no way he didn't realize. The messages were constant. It's hard for me to believe that he was completely unaware of what she was doing. Maybe I'm wrong, but my trust in him is completely gone. At this point, I've officially decided to start the process of filing for divorce. This isn't the man I thought I married, and after everything that's happened, I don't even feel safe around him anymore. For now, I'm staying with my parents and with the kids. I don't trust him around them right now, and he seemed accepting over this because of the affair, and he still has to work. The fact that someone who smiled in my face, sat in our home, and acted like my friend was secretly involved with my husband for over a year and then spent time tormenting me, pretending to be him, is honestly one of the most disturbing things I've ever experienced, and I still can't even wrap my head around it. I still have this horrible feeling that there's more to this story than either of them are admitting. All I know is that I have lost all trust for him, and no amount of counseling could change that. We are done. Thank you all so much for the help. I'm genuinely scared about what I would have done if I didn't reach out, because I never expected this from him. I don't know if there will be another update. I have a lot of recovering to do. I feel like I just lost over 10 years of my life to a lie of a man, and I need to get used to the idea of starting fresh. I'm so grateful to have my family, and knowing that they will be here to support me and the boys through this is the only thing that brings me comfort. There is obviously still a lot more that I have to sort out, but I'm safe now. I just want to put the safety of me and the boys first. This will be my final update. Thank you all so much. You know what? I'm still going to answer the question. I think he is a psychopath, OP, because he let this all happen knowing that he was having an affair and he still chose to gaslight you. Finally, a cut and dry, clear example of gaslighting. What do you mean, honey? The fake messages. No one could be doing that. Don't believe the lies of your lying eyes and the evidence in front of you. Believe what I'm saying, because none of that is real. And I know that the messages keep updating in real time with like really intimate details that no one but us would know, but that's bullshit. None of that's real. It's all made up. Fake news. Oh my god, gaslighting final boss. I actually don't know what he expected to happen here besides her leaving with the kids and divorcing him over this because the harassment was non-stop. He genuinely didn't have a plan to stop this because he didn't want to confront his affair partner and be like, "You are going to destroy my life with this. Give me the phone back. Stop this at once." He deserves everything that happened to him for this one. What an idiot. I refuse to believe he didn't know that she was doing this. There is no way. That's bullshit. Thank you for the story and thank you for the update. Our next post is by user Sit and Think 86, and it's titled, "Am I the asshole here for telling my wife that if I waited for her to make memories with our son, then we wouldn't have any? Last weekend, I, 39 male, helped my son, 14 male, dye his hair purple. Or, my good friend who knew what he was doing helped dye my son's hair while I was there for music requests and object fetching. It was such a fun day, and I could tell how happy it made my boy. I didn't tell my wife before we did this, and that was the catalyst to the fight that we're currently having, but for me, it's so much more than this one incident. My wife has been hands-off with our child for a while now. His soccer games, little road trips to nearby amusement parks, back-to-school shopping. She's too busy with work or too tired from work, so I've mostly just stopped having the conversations. Why would I waste my breath to have the same conversations on repeat? The night we dyed his hair, she started crying while we were talking, saying that we were making all of these memories without her. I asked what she expected me to do. If we waited for her to make memories, we would be sitting in a dark room 100% of the time. My son isn't even really comfortable with her anymore. There is no, "I can't take you, go ask your mom." Now it's, "I'm sorry I can't take you. Let's see if friend is free that day." My wife isn't speaking to me now, and I'm wondering if I took it too far. I don't know. I was hoping some brutal honesty would change something. I would have loved having more kids, but I guess it's for the best that she said no. Edit. I'm a stay-at-home dad. The original plan was for me to start working again when our son went to kindergarten, but my wife was gunning for a promotion around that time and asked me to stay at home longer. Once she got the promotion, her hours increased, so that time was extended once again. I am responsible for all of the household chores and general homemaking tasks. I cook, clean, do all the yard work, all of the grocery shopping, etc. I do enjoy being a stay-at-home dad, but I've been ready and willing to rejoin the workforce for a decade now. At this point, I'll be getting a job when my son turns 16 and can get himself to and from school. But my wife still refuses to cut her hours, even if I get a job, and gets frustrated every time I bring it up. There's no point in me forcing my son to ride the bus or figuring out a ride for himself if my wife still won't make the effort or compromise in order to spend time with him. In the comments, Crumbled Spoon says, "Listen, this could easily have been a gender-swapped story. There are so many Am I the Assholes heres about wives who could have stopped trying to artificially create moments for their husbands to be dads, and you are just as not the asshole as they are. Being a parent is so much more than financial support. It's about emotional presence. You are there for your son, and it hurts him each time your wife has said she doesn't have time to be there for him, that it now hurts him less to ask. Your son is the priority, not your wife's feelings. She's reaping the consequences of being a parent in finances only. Keep parenting your son. Don't hold back your love for him to make her feel less guilty. Not the asshole. Your kid cannot go into stasis until your partner magically has time. Literally nothing works that way. The things you do now are the childhood memories your child is going to have. My ex was super checked out on the kids until we divorced. It was like he kind of realized that he wasn't being that bad, because if he was that bad, I would leave. And me saying I was leaving upended his denial. For what it's worth, This got my career moving again, and now I do sometimes have to say no to my kids because of work, but I do try to create time for them around work obligations, and their dad is now available. There is no guarantee it works that way for everyone. So I guess, do what you're doing. Have the moments with your child as they come at you, and tell your wife that the only way she gets those moments is to take them. Some of my best times with my kids have been tiny, tiny things. Stand by the front door and yell that you're going to the store for snacks, and $20 will get you a half hour of delightful teenage company. And now, onto the update. Spending more time on Reddit to keep up with political happenings led me to remembering that I made this account a while ago. The divorce should be finalized within the next 2 months. Before filing, I tried to get my soon-to-be ex-wife to attend counseling with me, but she always refused. The only real answer I have in regards to why all this happened was her finally admitting she cared more about her career than being a wife/mother. Our original custody agreement was going to be me with primary custody, and he'd stay with her every other weekend. That has since changed. My son made it clear that he'd want to speak in court about staying with me full-time, so she agreed to that without dragging him into speaking to a judge. She can come see him whenever she wants, and so far, she has visited once and called him a handful of times. I'm happy to be moving forward for my son's sake. I don't understand my ex at all. I've started going to therapy myself to try and wrap my head around the past few years. Her lack of any sort of motherhood instinct felt like it was bordering on sociopathic. Finally, remember to be kind to stay-at-home parents. I'm not one anymore, but the fact that my last post had to be locked because people were being so ridiculous towards me for that reason alone says a lot. They have the best job in the world, but also a very hard one. Thank you. In the comments, not the asshole. I don't have kids because I never want to have to parent a human for the rest of my life, so when I read about people having kids and then not parenting them or loving them right, it makes me so mad. People are not required to marry and have kids if you cannot do it. I'm glad you're moving on and continuing to be a good father. The amount of people who have children without examining if it's what they actually want in life truly boggles my mind. How does it not occur to you that this will be a 24/7 commitment for at least 18 years? I guess some people just want the perfect family photos, and they're willing to create literal human beings to achieve that. I don't think it's particularly the case with OP, but one thing that floored me after becoming a parent is just how absurd it is. I definitely wanted kids and feel like I'm an above-average father of 4 boys aged 3 to 11. But man, has it been a total mindfuck coming to grips with how absolutely irrational kids are. And it was just the difference between being around a kid or babysitting and actually being the parent responsible 24/7. No amount of parenting classes or books prepared me for that part of things. So I do think there is a percentage of parents that have kids with the best intentions, but it just isn't a fit for them. Black Sparrow says, "It's good that you made the best decision for your son and yourself to move on. Some people think that they should do what society expects them and become parents regardless of their actual wants. It's obvious that being a mom wasn't for her. So there was nothing that you could do to save the relationship. As much as she's the asshole, I put the biggest blame on all the people of every generation who keep insisting, you're gonna feel differently once the kid comes, or it's different when it's your own kid. Sometimes that may be true, and sometimes people are just lying because of the stigma. Why risk putting a kid into this world if they may end up unloved and unwanted? I'm so glad there's places like r/regretful parents to show people the truth and stop them from making the same mistake. I think I read this initial story when I did that Facecam video a little while ago, and I'm glad that this got an update. OP, you're not the asshole still. I know I did the allusion to the cats in the cradle and a silver spoon. Very much what's going on here with your wife, or now ex-wife. And you're not wrong to want to keep making memories with your son, because parents don't stop parenting because one chooses not to show up. That's not how life works. If you had been waiting on her schedule or her motivation, you wouldn't have ever stopped waiting. It's clear she didn't want to be a parent, as you've seen. So much so that it appears she's happy to lose custody of your child and to just break up with you entirely. That is sad to lead an existence like that, but hey, that's my opinion of her. I think she's a sad individual, but not everyone's gonna agree, I guess. You obviously went out of your way to try to repair this situation, but she didn't give a fuck, and she never will. And your son choosing to stay with you says a lot about where he feels supported most. I think you just keep being a parent, keep being present in his life, and forget about her entirely. What she did was completely fucked up, but there's nothing you can do about it now. You're out of the woods. Thank you for the story, and thank you for the update. Our next post is by user Epioc, and it's titled, "Am I the arsehole here? My 44 male, fiance 43 female, filled our house with pink pillows, despite knowing I hate the color, and now says my opinion no longer matters. I'm a pretty simple guy. I don't try to make my bedroom this grandiose thing. My style choice is making the bed so it looks nice and simple, with no extra fluff or decorative pillows. When my fiance and I moved in together, she started putting some blue decorative pillows on the bed. I have to admit, it wasn't bad. She asked me how I felt about it, and I told her honestly that I actually liked the changes. She then asked, what about pink pillows? I simply stated, no. There are really only two colors I don't like as decor, pink and yellow. Pink because I've just never been a fan of that shade, and yellow because it triggers a very bad childhood memory for me. This conversation happened 3 years ago, and over the years, she would occasionally make comments about it, so I know she never forgot my stance. The issue? A few weeks ago, she bought a bunch of pink pillows for the bedroom and the living room. It bothered me to no end. I figured that I'd try to just get used to it, so I decided not to bring it up. Lately, I haven't really been hanging out in the living room or the bedroom like I used to. Instead, I've been retreating to the only room in the house that isn't completely turning pink, the garage, which we semi-converted into a second living room. It still has 2 pink pillows, but that beats the 6 in the main living room and the 4 in the bedroom. The confrontation. For some necessary context, we've been getting into fights almost every weekend lately. I will say or do something stupid, and she will go off on me, saying things like, "You don't let me be a person." Because of this, I've been trying really hard to hold my tongue when I have issues with her and just be supportive. Yesterday, she noticed my withdrawal to the garage and explicitly asked for my opinion on the new decor. Because she asked directly, I didn't feel like lying. I told her the truth. I absolutely hate the pink in the living room and the bedroom. She went off on me again, repeating that I'm not letting her be a person, and explicitly told me that she has decided my opinion no longer matters. I tried to keep the peace and just avoid the rooms, but when asked directly, I answered honestly. How should I handle this? In the comments, everyone sucks here. She shouldn't have tried to bulldoze you and make decisions about decor unilaterally, but you, on the other hand, 6 pink pillows on a sofa is enough to make you not want to sit in a room? Are you serious? Do either of you even like each other? My thoughts exactly, but also her saying, "You don't let me be a person," sounds like there's something else going on. Yeah, I'm really curious what other things he's saying and doing that are stupid. He sort of added that in as a throwaway, but it may be relevant. Everyone sucks here. Y'all got bigger problems than the pillows. Spot on. Getting married to someone that you can't have positive conflict resolution with is asking for disaster. So pink isn't a trauma color for you. You just hate it with so much passion that you'll avoid rooms that have too much of it? You'll need therapy, because this is exhausting. Everyone sucks here. Making masculinity sound less like a quality some people have and more like a dangerous mind trap that should be avoided at all costs. And now, on to the update. We finally sat down and really talked about everything that's going on, and we got to the root of the issue. As I mentioned in some of my comments, she moved down here from Alaska right before COVID hit. Because of the lockdowns, she missed out on that crucial window when you move to a new place to go out, see things, and meet people. As a result, her mental state regarding living down here is almost entirely negative. She doesn't have any actual friends locally. Honestly, I don't either anymore, because my own friend group kind of exploded shortly after she moved down. Because of this isolation, she's placed a lot of the blame on me for the move, even though it was a mutual decision we made to get her away from her abuser. The reality is that the underlying trigger for our weekend fights, regardless of how small the actual inciting incident is, comes from the fact that she is profoundly unhappy living here. She is only staying because the 3 kids have established their lives here in the Peoria area. She misses hanging out with her friends, going shopping, and constantly changing up the decoration and furniture in the house like she used to do up north. When I pushed back on the pink pillows, she saw my color restrictions as me trying to take away the very last thing that she does that actually brings her joy. I explained to her that I'm absolutely not trying to take away her joy. She explained that the pink is just temporary, and what she really needs is the freedom to change the colors of the living room and bedroom with more frequency, rather than our standard no changes until Christmas routine. Now that I understand what this actually represents for her, I agreed to find room in our budget to make that happen. I'm glad that you guys resolved this one and that, it was obvious that this wasn't just about the pillows. Still think that it was a bit of an everyone sucks here situation, because you guys are married. Everything should come down to compromise, not her deciding the decor and you just running away from it and not kind of dealing with this. It's obvious that these were some of the few ways that she felt she still had control and creativity in her life after moving somewhere that she feels isolated and unhappy with. And I'm glad that you both had this honest talk because, what was going to happen if you didn't? I like the solution you came to. Giving her more freedom to change things up occasionally while still respecting each other's comfort in these shared spaces, that is a reasonable compromise. But you still have to address the elephant in the room that is her isolation, and your isolation as well after that friend group exploded. Find ways to rebuild a life together where you are both happy. Otherwise, you're just kicking the can down the road. Anyway guys, that's all I have time for today. I do hope you enjoyed the stories. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.